The following game has been rated E10 plus for alcohol reference, fantasy violence, and mild language by the ESRB. That means anyone under the age of 10 years old should not be watching this video. You have been warned. Greetings and salutations. I bid you welcome to this channel. If you are watching this video, that means that I have lost a bet. So, to carry on, this is Surviving Mars. Now you may be asking yourself, why is this fool playing a video game from, well, whenever? I don't actually remember how old it is, but it has been several years. And the answer is simple. I've already played this game. I know what is coming, so therefore there shouldn't be any surprises in regards to copyright issues or putting out content that on the internet that shouldn't be on the internet, because I'm a stickler for such things. So, without further ado, let us begin. Headset makes it official. Let us continue on. So let us start a new game. So the point of Surviving Mars is to colonize Mars. So you're given a variety of various sponsors. These are basically one faction, group that you represent or start with. So there's the International Mars mission, which effectively serves as the tutorial. There's various countries like the United States, China, India, Europe, Brazil, Russia, and Japan. There's also several corporations like the Sun Corporation, Space Y, as well as, let's call it a crazy religious organization of the Church of New York. And apparently there's also a terraforming initiative, which is run by, we'll call it a shady organization, because why not? Because the description doesn't give any other hints as to the contrary, that's why. Moving right along. So, with each faction you get various benefits. So, for instance, with the International Mars mission, you get the Zeus rocket, which is a larger rocket and able to carry things more from the motherland. You also get advanced Stirling generators, which is a special power unit. Colonists never get Earth sick. You get more food for passenger rocket, so forth and so on. As I said before, the International Mars mission is the tutorial. It's designed to be ridiculously easy, so that way you don't lose relatively easily. So I've only ever played this game as the International Mars mission. So we're going to go with somebody else, and we'll just pick the United States of America. Why the United States of America? Because why not? Also, I could choose one of the corporations, but let's be perfectly honest. If anybody's going to colonize the surface of Mars, it's going to be a national entity as opposed to a corporation. They may claim that corporations will be able to get there and they'll be able to do this and do that, but let's be honest. The point of a corporation is to make profit. And while all the corporate leaders, for lack of a better term, say that it's a great thing to do this, there is no profit in going to another planet without any idea as to what's there. So, while high-end corporations may pave the path with gold, there'll be organizations like NASA that cite where the path goes. Following along so far? Good. So, we're going to pick the United States. There are, in addition to mission sponsors, there's also various commander profiles, which gets you, much like everything else, extra benefits and certain things unlocked originally. I like preferring rocket scientists, not because I got anything against any of the others, It's just that it gives you an extra rocket, and I like having extra rockets. So we can also have an active storyline that occurs throughout the progress of the game. I've already seen the inner light. It was interesting. I don't know if we can turn it off because I would like a guarantee that something else happens. But I'd also want to keep it random. So we'll see. Rival colonies. Let's have 3 of them, and as I said before, private corporations are not going to colonize Mars. They may get there on the back of a national entity or government, but they're not going to do it themselves. Because it's not going to be cheap and it's not going to be easy. And I guarantee you, no matter how much money a corporation has, it will never be nearly enough as a governmental agency which can literally print its own legal currency. Moving right along. So, just for fun, I've selected China, Russia, and Europe. Which, as far as I know, they're the ones closest with space agencies to rival NASA, but I could be mistaken about that. I usually am about such things. We have extra game rules. Well, I'll just set that to none selected. Because I don't feel like taking through all of them before starting. So, this is what we got. On to the next screen. The next screen is to pile everything into your first rocket to go to Mars. And because we're the United States and I like playing the part of NASA, our first rocket will be called the Enterprise. And yes, I am a Star Trek fan. And I'm well aware that the shuttle Enterprise never actually made it to space, but they used it for a testing platform for all the other shuttles, and it currently lives in the Smithsonian Institute if memory serves. It's been a while since I've been there, so I don't actually know if it's there. Still, in my opinion, the greatest mistake NASA ever made was to retire all of their shuttlecraft without having something viable ready to go to replace them. And farming it out to private institutions does not count. So, we have our first rocket. It is filled with various things to get everybody started, including 2 advanced probes, 15 electronics, 20 machine parts, 15 polymers, materials, 4 drones, 1 RC transport, 1 RC explorer, 1 RC commander, and 4 prefab buildings, which you'll need to get started, including 2 Stirling generators, which, near as I can tell, is basically a round spheroid nuclear plant that just sits around and generates power. Also, fuel refinery, which pulls fuel from water in order to actually send the rockets back home. We have to regas them. And a drone hub, because I forgot to mention beforehand, people aren't going initially. You have to send an advanced team of robots to land on the Martian surface, gather resources, and build the facilities required for actual human habitation. The drone hub is what allows you to control drones when the rockets aren't on the surface or nearby. Probably take 1 Stirling generator just in case, but I also want 1. Not take it. Wow. Okay, so then, adding 2 Stirling generators. I probably don't need the drone hub and an RC commander. So I should mention, in addition to the various drones, which are these little guys, call them little. They are not little. You also have various remote controlled vehicles, which is the RC transport, which is basically your large long haul freighter. You have the RC Explorer, which is basically what all the probes currently on Mars are doing right now. Scientific stuff, looking at things, riding around. It's just the size of a small building. And then we also have the RC Commander, which is effectively a portable drone hub. It allows you to control the remote control drones. So if I'm packing one of these guys, I probably technically don't need a drone hub initially. So what I'll do is I'll pop in a moisture evaporator and a fuel refinery instead of the drone hub initially. Just when I needed metal, well, I get to pick up metal off the surface. So this looks like everything that I'm going to need initially. And I have more than one rocket, so I don't need to send the Enterprise back to pick up more stuff. Although I do have a smaller amount of funding than playing as the International Mars mission, so I do have to keep track of my coin. I should also point out that it's listed in millions, so that's not $4,110. That's $4,110,000,000. Like I said, this stuff isn't cheap, and this is in real life. This wouldn't be 4.1 billion. It would probably be 4.1 trillion, or 41 trillion, or whatever's higher than a trillion. So I'm happy with what I'm packing along. Next we go. So I need to select the colony site next where we're going to land, and there are a variety of options that offer various perks and benefit and disadvantages. So here the average altitude will be in the negatives, which means we'll probably be below sea level. Probably not a good idea for terraforming it. Mean temperature will be 1 degree below freezing. Topography will be rough, which means a bunch of mountains, hard to get around initially, I would assume. Very few threats in forms of tornadoes, dust storms, meteors, and cold waves. And we also have a very high water resource, decent metals, and a fair amount of concrete. And that is Marinus Alpha. By contrast, we have Zante Alpha, which is still a negative in terms of altitude. I gotta be honest, I don't know if that's considered below sea level or not, but it's higher up, but not as high. It's colder. Topography is relatively flat. Greater chance for meteors, although the other threats aren't as high. Water's still the same, concrete's still the same, although there's more metals available. So here we're even at a higher altitude. It's in the negative numbers. Smaller negative numbers mean higher. Mean temperatures again, -1°C. Mars is farther away than the sun. It is very cold there. The topography is going to be considered rough. So we get fewer metals than the previous site, but maximum number of concrete water, although meteors are going to be a problem. Arabia Alpha, there's not as much water, it's lower. Ridiculously cold because it's close to the pole. Cold waves are at the extreme, although the other threats are minimal. And we have okay amount of metals and water, and a large number of concrete. We also have, I'm going to call that Cinnamon Alpha because I am not pronouncing that word. So anyway, at Cinnamon Alpha, it's actually above whatever it considers the negative in terms of altitude. Mean temperature is -16°C. It is relatively flat. We do have some issues with dust devils and meteors, and we're pretty good on concrete and water, but somewhat okay on metals. Okay, I have absolutely no idea who's writing these, but at Cyrenum Beta, again, above what I'm considering sea level, still somewhat cold. Have issues with dust devils and meteors. Pretty good on metals and concrete, and have quite a bit of water to play with. At Elysium Alpha, threats are okay, still below sea level, still ridiculously cold, but not as cold as the poles. Resources are good. I looked at that. Elysium Beta, still have a somewhat threat for meteors. Topography is steep, which means we're probably landing inside of a mountain, still below sea level. The resources are ridiculously good. I'm more concerned with metals and concrete because those are finite. With the moisture evaporator that I'm bringing along with me, I can literally pull water out of the thin Martian air. So there's that. Where was I? At Cyrenum Alpha, it's again above sea level, relatively flat. I have an issue with dust devils. Metals are okay, and concrete's relatively good. At Aona Alpha, metals are decent. Concrete and water is ridiculously high. And we also have a moderate dust devils. So those are all the landing sites. Based off of what I'm seeing, I think I actually want to go with Elysium Beta. I know the topography is steep, which means getting around early on will be slightly difficult, but I can unlock technologies which basically allow me to plow the entire surface of Mars over and make a very big parking lot. But I'm looking at the threats, and they're generally okay. Mean temperature is probably not all that desirable, but again, I can plug in big-ass heaters and warm the surface up. I do like the fact that metals and concrete are at the maximum. Water isn't, but again, as I said, I can make my own water. So we'll choose Elysium Beta. Okay, so welcome to Mars, Commander. Mission Control Log Number 1. Welcome to Mars. Everyone at Mission Control is impatient to see the rocket touching down and unloading its precious cargo. A remotely controlled eyes and hands on the red planet. The drones and rovers... Sorry, I should read this better. Everyone at Mission Control is impatient to see the rocket touching down and unloading its precious cargo. A remotely controlled eyes and hands on the red planet. The drones and rovers. Our goal is to secure a foothold for humanity by building the first Martian dome. This daunting endeavor will allow brave pioneers, the founders, the cream of the crop, basically the first people we shove in a shuttle and send here, to settle on Mars and prove that the colony is sustainable. But until then, we have to make sure the colony has enough construction resources, water, oxygen, and power. And this is basically what we said before. So yada yada yada. So basically, welcome to Mars. First thing we got to do is find a place to land, and it's already given me one spot which contains. So the buildable area is basically the percentage of this tile or square or basically patch of ground that I can already see. It gives me the buildable area is at 87%, which means I can build on 87% of the ground around this particular square. I can also zoom in and take a better look at it. So, and it tells me that there is 3,114 units of concrete available for mining, as well as 110 units of metals just lying on the ground waiting for pickup. There's also one anomaly which our Explorer rover can look at, and it gives us various smaller benefits. I do also have advanced orbital probes, which will allow me to scan various sectors to look for extra anomalies and / for a better place to land. I should also point out that I am not also restricted to just this square. I can actually go to any square on the map. I could technically land here. Oh goody, Russia's already completed a milestone. Let us pause while I talk. But I can basically go anywhere I want on this map. I just technically can't leave it. So the first thing we're going to do is use the advanced probes that I got to see if there's anything else in the immediate vicinity that's better. So we have that, and we can see that there's a whole bunch of other things around for us to look at. And if we go, say right here, the other one gives me a broader area. So while we started off here and can see here, we can also see that this spot right here has actually more concrete, which would allow us to get more resources available for the initial building. So what I'm going to do is actually drop the rockets. So before I go into anything, these other icons right here are rare metals and regular metals, which are various deposits that I can mine once people get on the surface of the planet for additional resources. Metals for building things, and rare metals can be shipped back to Earth for more funding. there's also water, which is right here, which is what I get water extract, which I can extract from the ground, in addition to just basically pulling it from the air. And then we also have this thing, which is a research site, which gives us a passive boost to any research facilities we build within the area. So, in addition to, no, that's resupply. In addition to dropping the rocket down, we have various domes, which is, let's click on the domes, which is where the people can live. If you see the hexagonal border out there, that's the limits of that anybody living in the dome can go to for any sort of benefit or anything like that. It has to be within the hexagonal boundary. So if I put this dome here, which is a prefab dome, which is basically everything I need to get it up and running, here I'll be able to build a rare metals extractor right here, and they'll be able to make use of that. But this one would be out of range, so they couldn't. It would actually probably be smarter to build it like right here, or even here. Here, so that way I can make use of both of them. But that's another issue for another time. Right now, get the Enterprise grounded. This is really cool. You can actually go out to the full map and literally see it come down. Yeah, camera controls, Building construction. Too early to place a dome. Yes, I'm well aware of that. So basically, this is everything that was on the rocket coming out. So this is our RC Explorer. He is going to be looking at various anomalies and other things. So the first thing I want to do is get storages out and basically get all the resources off the rocket. So the polymers, the electronics, the machine parts, all that can get off the rocket because I can't technically launch it with stuff on board. Otherwise, everything that's remaining on the rocket goes back to Earth. First thing I should probably do once all the resources are done is set up basic manufacturing, which for this game is going to be concrete and, well, I would say metals, but again, that requires people. So basically concrete and water. Yes, I'll need concrete and water and power in order to actually start construction with anything. So we have this one, which has 2,000 some odd. So first thing we need is to build. Alright, so I have no metal. So the first thing we need to do is gather metal. So have the transport siphon off that. And then we get the metal. And then we build the concrete facility. We build the concrete extractor. We get the concrete. Then we can use the concrete to build other things. Certain buildings I can't build right off the bat. That includes drone hubs and Stirling generators, which is why I can take them in as prefabs. However, go to the tech tree, you can actually unlock new technologies to provide extra benefits to the colony. So we have extractor upgrades, which increase the extractors, transport optimization, which allows the RC transport to carry more things, advanced Martian engines, which means that the rockets themselves require less fuel. Start with terraforming. We can also do water reclamation for Earth-Mars Initiative, which increases research provided by the sponsor by 100 science. So we'll do that first because until I can get people onto the surface of the planet, the only science that's coming in will be through the sponsor or any sort of, actually no, right now it'll be through the sponsor. Eventually I can get it where the Explorer RCs will add some science as well, but for now, all the science is coming through the sponsor. So, are you done? You're not done. Also select the various sectors to scan, which slowly reveals more things. Basically, a longer version of the books. But for right now, it's free. Oh, the Explorer got done studying its anomaly, which allowed us to... I don't need to terraform. But basically it explains terraforming, which allows you to turn Mars into a more Earth-like environment, as stated right here. So to terraform Mars and create an Earth-like environment for colonists, you have to gradually increase the 4 global parameters: atmosphere, temperature, water, and vegetation. Terraforming is a long process. Once complete, humans can start breathing outside of domes. We start by researching terraform technology, which we will do over the course. So that got the anomaly. So that got everything. Oh look, these are the milestones. So what did Russia do first? Right, didn't say. But as you progress down the tech tree, you unlock more techs. So after Earth Mars Initiative, it unlocked systematic training. And then since because they didn't have anything else in the queue, because they didn't expect it to complete that quickly, it finished water reclamation and added an extra magnetic filter, which is probably a good thing because it will increase moxie production, which gains more oxygen. So we're going to do that next, and then robotics and engineering. Oh, the busy little bees have decided to help with the metal. So we are going to need... So we can extract the water. So I'm going to need more concrete to actually build the water extractor. So I should probably do basic setup right here initially. The initial dome will probably go there. Which means drone hub will probably go here. But until I can actually get a drone hub on the planet, I'm going to have to go with this thing. So all the drones are now attached to the RC commander. So first thing we need to do is, because the water extractor requires concrete, and I don't have concrete, first thing we need to do is build a concrete extractor. So in addition to producing concrete, the extractor will also produce waste rock and dust, which is, I believe, what the large hexagon is to denote, in addition to the fact that it's within range of a resource. So we're going to put that there. Building that, they'll be able to... I also have to get power to it. But the Stirling generators are full. There, and here. I'm also going to connect it with the power cable. That way. More text available for research. I like how the voice audio only does about the first paragraph. So basically, as you probably just heard, there's that. And then it's even the tiniest, simple-looking rock can contain the answers to mysteries which perplex the human mind for generations. Sometimes it takes just a simple discovery to assure us of the vastness of the universe, an encouragement to make us look beyond the boundaries of our existence into the future. And it basically tells you what's been unlocked, which is the decommission protocol, allows me to decommission and remove buildings, and planetary survey. Basically these two things. So the drone's in the process of building that, and once they finish building that, you know what? Then, because we need power, there. So in addition to that power supply, I also should probably put down that'll make concrete. Basically a battery allows me to store power in case I accidentally run over. Building's not working. No kidding. Issuing returns. One of the leading companies in the field of nanotechnology and miniaturization has made you an interesting offer. They want to outsource the R&D of their newest project, prefab compression, technology that could potentially allow us to transport prefabs of monumental buildings from Earth. They have a list of specific requirements which make us the best candidate for this. Our colony is remote, far from prying eyes, and the battery on my camera is dying. And it's dead. Okay. Almost depopulated in case of nanite contamination, and you would hardly break an agreement of confidentiality. So my options are to decline, basically saying no, accept a request in advance, which gains me 500 million in coin and reveals breakthrough prefab compression, or accept and request logistics aid, which gains 150 sponsor research and reveals breakthrough prefab compression. So basically, I can decline, say no, and nothing happens with this minor event, or I can accept and basically get $500 million or 150 in extra sponsor research. Because I'm most likely able to get research faster than I would coin, we're going to accept the advance. And yes, I know it needs electrical power. They're working on it. See? Now it's up and running. And now we slowly strip mine the entire surface of Mars. Because why not? So in addition to those, I am also going to need moisture evaporator. So the moisture evaporator is a fun little thing. As I said before, it basically pulls water clean off the clean out of the air. So the little pipe icons at the very bottom of it denote where the piping is supposed to go. Because once it gathers the water, it needs to send it somewhere. I'm sorry, I lost some train of thought again. Where was I? Oh, and the hexagon doesn't denote the fact that it requires resources within that area. Unlike, say, the concrete extractor, the moisture evaporator can't be next to another moisture evaporator, and that hexagon denotes how far apart they have to be. So we're just going to put this one here for now. To that, we're going to need piping. This thing. So this thing. Start from here. I like having the pipes match the power conduits. So generally, every time I have a power conduit, I'll have piping along top of it. And in addition to the piping, I am also going to need a water tank, or oxygen tank. Right there. Except that's not what I need. So water tank goes there. And we'll also build the Moxie, which is what produces the oxygen. That's what the O2 tank is for. I had planned once I get enough concrete to build that there. And then again, piping. Wrong button. Piping and electrical. Because infrastructure makes the world go round. Okay, so as I mentioned before, things produce waste rock. Basically, it's the useless, well, for now, the useless rocks that can't be used for anything else. They basically lie about in a dump, or I have to make a dumping pile for them. Let's put that there for now. So as the drones collect. Okay, so my power grid does not exceed demand at the moment. Oh goody, they finished that. Fortunately, it's the wrong kind of tank. Yes, I know I need a drone hub. Didn't pack one. I can, however, get another cargo rocket. Along with the whole NASA theme, we shall call this the Discovery. I think that's one of NASA's shuttles. I could be mistaken. For this one, we'll take the drone. We'll pack a drone hub. We'll also take two more Stirling generators. You know, let's grab a second moisture vaporizers. And we'll also take an extra probe. Alright, so that's going to be on its way. They're building the water tower. Alright, so the moisture evaporator is adding 1 unit of water. It's per soul. So days are measured in souls, which is nearly 25 Earth hours, so a little more than a standard Terran day. Why is it all the way over there? Oh well, can't get to it because of the large, we'll call it a ravine? Yeah, we'll call that a ravine. Move the drone controller this way. And we'll need concrete though. Except not enough concrete to be produced yet. So, hang out right here until we produce more concrete. Are producing O2, which we don't need right now, but we will need it eventually. Another thing I should put down is here we are, fuel refinery, because that's going to be needed to send the Enterprise back to Earth. And oddly enough, rocket fuel only requires water. So we'll put that there for now. Right, it's a prefab building. Does not need resources. Alright, so that's going to start producing 12 units of fuel per soul. Requires 1 unit of water, which the evaporator provides, and 5 power, which the Stirling generators provide. So I have a total power production of 20 and a total demand of 17. So we're still making positive power. So we have a net neutrality of water because the fuel refinery is producing as much as the evaporator is taking in. And then the Moxie's just making air. Yeah, sensor towers. Sensor towers significantly boost your scanning speed for nearby sectors. It's an advanced warning of disasters. So basically, they help with the scanning of these things. And also give advanced warning of when crap happens. I should probably build one. Oh, we'll set you there for now. Load up on some extra concrete. Enough. Stop that. And what else do I need for this thing? 2 machine parts. This over there. This over there. So move everything over here so that way they can build the extractor. So that way it can have a net positive water because I'm going to need more water. Move. Did say meteors were a problem. There we are. Get somebody to fix it to build this, please. I sworn they could just simply unload everything. I sworn they could just simply yank it off of the transport. Could have sworn they could do that. I guess not. No one's building that. Where you going? Stop. Okay, so who's gonna build the damn pipe? Alright, we're good. We're producing water. Put up that. Head back this way. It's unwise to have buildings outside of your drone control area, your drone hubs, because any maintenance required, damage caused, or anything that requires any building that requires assistance or just general maintenance has to be serviced by a drone. Also, things like the concrete extractor require drones to pick up what's produced and take it to the storage areas. And drones can't do that unless they have a control building, rover, what have you. Oh, E0 didn't stand. And it's got nothing but a couple metal and some craters. Goody. Alright, so I like to think that that's a decent start. We may pick this up next time. Let's zoom out just because I can to look at everything. So, hope everybody found that interesting. If not, then, well, we'll try next time. We'll try next game.